Chinese food, fantastic for hangovers, not always so great for feeling like your healthiest, most energized self. It's also less than ideal if you're trying to cut back on carbs, considering so many popular dishes are loaded with starchy foods like rice, breading, and noodles, says Rebecca Blakely, RDN, dietitian for the Vitamin Shop and Only Me. Heck, even your beloved fortune cookie is a carb. But that doesn't mean you can never enjoy a Sunday on the couch with eats from your favorite Chinese takeout joint again. With a few guidelines in mind, like swapping rice or noodles for steamed veggies, ordering clear soup over wontons and egg rolls, and avoiding thick, sweet sauces, you can totally make low-carb Chinese food a thing. Here are 5 orders that keep carbs low, and 5 carb bombs to steer clear of. 1. Best, hot and sour soup. Typically made with broth, veggies like mushrooms and onions, eggs, oil, seasoning, and tofu, hot and sour soup contains somewhere around 10 grams of carbs per cup, says Blakely. Because of the variety of ingredients, it's also generally a high-nutrient option. Since some Chinese restaurants may add cornstarch to soups to thicken them up, request yours without the cornstarch to lower your carb count even more, Blakely suggests. 2. Best, beef and broccoli. Beef and broccoli is a Chinese takeout classic, and a fantastic low-carb option. Crispy nutrient-rich broccoli and bite-sized pieces of steak, all cooked in a soy sauce-based glaze, makes for a simple, satisfying meal. It's usually low in calories and carbs, as long as you don't load up on rice and noodles on side, says Blakely. 3. Best, Chinese pepper steak. If broccoli isn't your jam, opt for this similar dish. Chinese pepper steak contains a variety of bell peppers and seasonings, says Blakely. Since it's still a meat and veggie-based dish, carbs stay low. Plus, peppers are loaded with vitamin C, which helps your body absorb all that iron in your steak. 4. Best, mu shu pork lettuce wraps. Mu shu pork, cooked with cabbage and cashews in hoisin, soy sauce, and garlic, is basically the epitome of delish. Opt for lettuce instead of the usual carb-heavy pancake wrap and you get to taste the flavorful, meaty filling even more. And since lettuce contains virtually no carbs, it keeps this high-protein dish pretty keto diet-friendly. You get some sugar from the hoisin sauce, but carbs will likely stay around 10 grams per serving, says Blakely. 5. Best, egg drop soup. Made by whisking eggs into broth and a topping of green onions, oil, and seasoning, egg drop soup is hearty and comforting. Like hot and sour soup, this dish often contains cornstarch to give it a thicker texture, but still, avoid topping it with crispy wonton strips, and this dish is just about 10 grams of carbs, says Blakely. 1. Worst, Hunan dumplings. Often served with a peanut butter Y sauce, Hunan dumplings are super crave-able, but high in carbs. The majority of the carbs here come from the flour used to make the wonton wrappers, says Blakely, who estimates a serving can land somewhere upwards of 40 to 50 grams of carbs. Plus, that peanut butter sauce isn't your typical Whole Foods approved all-natural peanut butter, either. Many recipes contain added sugar or honey. 2. Worst, wonton soup. Wonton soup's clear broth and scallions aren't the issue, it's the wontons, which are essentially dumplings. Though not as high carb as you might think, the dumplings in this soup are made with flour, says Blakely. A serving can contain somewhere around 20 grams of carbs, and that's not including any extra noodles you add to the mix. 3. Worst, chow mein. Unlike the softer noodles in lo mein, chow mein contains crispier noodles that require extra frying to perfect. The fried noodles really drive up the carb count in this one, which often contains 40 grams or so in just 1 cup, says Blakely. And though it usually contains some veggies and protein, the noodles really steal the show. 4. Worst, egg rolls. No surprise here, these crispy, easy-to-eat Chinese appetizers can pack somewhere around 20 grams of carbs a pop, says Blakely. And, honestly, who eats just one egg roll? Not to mention, the plum sauce that egg rolls are typically served with is high in sugar. 5. Worst, fried rice. Considering rice is the star of this fan-favorite Chinese dish, it's no shock that the carbs really rack up. Made with rice, eggs, oil, veggies, and seasonings, and sometimes extra protein, fried rice usually contains 40-ish grams of carbs per cup, says Blakely. Not your best bet for keeping those carbs low. Get your keto diet plan in the description below.